Would you like to pause from your busy day and listen in to experts and homeschool parents like you about the beautiful world of homeschooling? This podcast is designed just for you. Each episode connects you to the best conversations that will give you courage and fill your cup so you can keep pouring into your family every single day. Introducing the Hey Mama Homeschool Show, brought to you by the Old Schoolhouse, your trusted homeschool partner for over 20 years.
Hi, everyone. This is Heather with another episode of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. Today, I will be discussing the topic of, will my child always struggle with spelling? As a homeschool mom of 5, ranging in ages from 16 down to 5 years old, all with their own unique personalities and learning styles, I am looking forward to sharing some of my experiences with you. I also want to note that I live on a small homestead in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, so I wanted to give you a heads up that you might hear a rooster or two in the background, in case you hear any excess background noise. Also, be sure to listen to the entire recording because I have a treat for you. I will be sharing several clips from a recent interview that I had with Beverly Gordon. She is a veteran homeschool mom and the author of the beloved Spelling Power program. Now, before I begin, I would like to share with you that you can find a wide variety of spelling resources, articles, and encouragement on the TOS app. Seriously, everything homeschool is in your hands with the TOS app from the Old Schoolhouse. Access the current issue of the Old Schoolhouse magazine, plus more, anytime, anyplace. You may search and share articles from a decade of back issues. Content is updated weekly, and the TOS app is better than ever. See why by downloading it today at Google Play or the Apple Store. I also want to encourage you to head over to homeschoolingfinds.com. This is your destination for reliable information on products and resources that you can use in your own homeschool. Brought to you by the Old Schoolhouse, Homeschooling Finds is the place to find your new favorites. Some of the resources on that site I have personally used in my homeschool over the years, and I'm actually going to mention a few throughout this podcast. Be sure to head over there to read the reviews on the products that I mentioned from other homeschooling families. If you're like me, I love to hear several perspectives on a curriculum before making that final purchase, and this site absolutely helps you do just that. So now I am really looking forward to getting into the topic of spelling. When it came to my first child, I was so excited to teach him how to write. I'm a writer. I've always loved creative writing. I've always loved getting my thoughts out on paper. And I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be to teach writing. I could absolutely write, but I could not instill that love for writing to my oldest son. He wanted to write. He had those stories in his head. He had those ideas that he wanted to get on paper, but we would wrestle. We would struggle. We would have such a difficult time getting those assignments down onto paper. I remember when he was in first grade, and I still remember where he was sitting, where I was sitting, and the tears were pouring down. I pulled the whole wait till your father comes home trick because I did not know what to do. I didn't know if punishment was the answer, if taking away privileges was the answer, or how to get through to him to teach him how to write. Well, now that I'm homeschooling my 5th child, I realize that I probably should have taken a more gentle approach to teaching him writing. Fortunately, during that time, I was able to realize that one of the biggest struggles for him was spelling, and that's why he was having a hard time writing. He was, and to this day at times can still be, a perfectionist. He didn't want to spell any words wrong. So because he didn't have that capability at such a young age in first grade to spell every word that was in his mind, it turned into frustration. It turned into arguments. It turned into what I viewed as disobedience. But really, it was just a lack of understanding how to spell the words. It was my lack of understanding of realizing that it's okay to take appropriate steps to get to the point where he is able to effectively write on his own. It's okay in the beginning to have him share his ideas with me and have me write them down. It's okay for him to write and for him to make mistakes and for me to edit those in a way that is non-intrusive and not very intimidating, which I'm going to talk about when I talk about my second child. My oldest child, we worked through that. We got to the point where I realized his strengths and weaknesses, and now he writes for fun. I'll find him on the computer writing stories on his own time just for the fun of it. He just came back recently from camp, and he was a counselor in training, and he wrote his own skits and songs that were able to be used during this time at camp. He enjoys writing. He enjoys creative writing, and he does it, like I said, on his own time for fun, but it took him a while to get to that point. And he is going into his senior year and has already taken college level classes, even at an English level, and was able to succeed writing his papers. Not only did he succeed in writing his papers and do well in those courses, but he enjoyed it. And some of the writing assignments were some of his favorite activities that he did during college because he was able to see the improvement. He was able to learn and grow from where he was when he began those classes. So he received the foundation in his homeschool years so that he can, as he moves on into life, use those skills and continue to learn and grow. We never get to that point where we always know how to spell every word, how to write every word, how to do anything in perfection. We're always learning. And if our children realize that from a young age and we give them grace, then there's so much more freedom in our homeschool. With my second child, the approach that worked best with him actually came through a resource that you can find over at homeschoolingfinds.com. It is called Write Shop. And again, both of these resources that I'm mentioning are writing resources, but of course, our children need to know how to spell in order to write. And that is the ultimate end goal. And with Write Shop, one of the techniques that the author uses was something that I gravitated towards, and I encourage so many people to use if they have a child that really struggles not only with writing, but with grammar or with any aspect of writing. My second child would really struggle if I would look at a paper that he turned in for any subject, and I would just have that look of disapproval. I would try not to do it, but I would see all those misspelled words, and then I would feel as though I failed. And I needed to realize that he is learning, he is growing. I cannot have that look of disapproval when he hands this to me. And the way that she approaches this common issue with parents teaching their homeschoolers how to write and how to spell, she says, have them free write once a week, Monday through Thursday, or however you do it. If you homeschool 4 days a week, you could do this 3 days a week. When I was homeschooling 5 days a week, I would have him write Monday through Thursday, just free write a couple paragraphs on a topic that I would give him. I believe there is a course on schoolhouseteachers.com that I used that would be a daily writing assignment that would give you prompts that you could use. Sometimes I would create my own prompts or use ones from different curriculum I was using. And so he would receive these prompts, and what she recommends in Write Shop is not to grade, not to make any corrections on any of those papers until the end of the week. Once you have all 4 or all 3 or however many you're assigning, then you have your child go through and pick one that is their favorite. And that is the one that you will grade, so to speak. You will correct the grammar, correct the spelling, and then your child will rewrite that. So this way, they have the opportunity to write without any fear of correction, but they still have that instruction that they receive throughout the week, so they can see what their spelling errors are, what their grammatical errors are, and it is just a simple, easy approach when it comes to teaching spelling and or writing. This has worked well for this particular child, and he also is doing well. He does great in his story writing. I have a third child, and her strength is copy work. For some reason, she loves to be able to see what she is writing, and when she makes mistakes, then she can go back and see what those mistakes were. The best way to describe this, it's hard to explain what I mean, but the way her mind works is a little different than her older two brothers. But the best program that I found for her, again, also on homeschoolingfinds.com, was Spelling UC. And the way that this program works is the Charlotte Mason approach, where you are writing and seeing, maybe where the errors are as you're writing, copying what you see just to help with your spelling. And Spelling UC will have the same text that the child will write over a course of several days, focusing on different sounds, vowel groupings, and just helping to learn phonics, helping to learn different rules when it comes to spelling. And this worked well for her when she was younger. Then, as she got older, she became strong in learning her spelling words through lists. Now, I'm going to be sharing a few clips in a little bit from the author of Spelling Power, because her program does not use lists similar to what many of us used in the public school system, where you would learn certain words that were the most common words, and every week you would take a test that Friday and get a new list on Monday. Not all students do well with that method. My daughter, she does. And so Schoolhouse Spelling has been wonderful for her. She started out with Spelling UC to learn the basic rules, and then now she is moving on to Schoolhouse Spelling, which has helped her master those words that are frequently used in the English language. Now, I also have a rising third grader. We have been lax in his spelling, as well as with his younger brother, who will be 5. And there is a reason for this. I was very strict and hard on my younger 2 children, a little bit with my third one as well when it came to spelling. So when I was introduced to Spelling Power, she mentions that it actually is best not to introduce a structured spelling program until about 3rd grade. And a lot of times when I hear people say this, it makes me nervous, because a lot of the curriculum that I would buy or look at would have spelling lists for 1st and 2nd grade, sometimes kindergarten, and even pre-K. And I would feel as though my children were missing out on something. But as a former preschool teacher, I remember that I was taught that there were different levels of reading, of writing, and it's not about the grade so much that they're in, but are they following the stepping stones of these levels? So when your child is young and he starts to become interested in letters, and he might just start writing random letters and say, "Hey, Mom, what does this word make?" And you say, "Well, that's not really a word." "But how is it not a word? There's an A, E, O, I right here. These are all letters. How is that not a word?" So that is stage 1. because they're starting to recognize that letters form words. And that's when you can begin to gently instruct them what an actual word is. You begin to teach them the vowels. So all of these basic introduction of vowels, introduction of possibly how to read, just simple 3-letter words will help with their spelling. So for me, the focus has been, let's focus on reading and the spelling will come later. Some students are ready for spelling right away. Absolutely embrace that, because once you go to the next level and they're writing out, you just see your child running to you, and on a piece of paper, they have DAD, they have CAT, they have these words, and they're so excited because they can sound them out from the books that you've been reading to them or just hearing, and they're recognizing what these are. They're starting to write it out. They're ready. They're ready to move on to the next level, and then they'll move on to sentences and then stories. So it's more about the progress than about the age of when that progress happens. So it's just like potty training. You know when your child's ready, and sometimes it is going to be later, and that's okay. And sometimes it's younger than the other children, and every child is different, and it's nothing to be ashamed of or even worry about. So I'm just going to share a quick clip with you from Beverly, and she is going to talk about starting spelling, a structured spelling program with your 3rd grader.
First of all, is designed for children who have already had a basic phonics instruction. We don't review the sounds of we start really with a 3rd grader. By then, their reading has just taken off and their spelling lags behind. And that's normal with reading. And that's when you start to really need a separate spelling program. So what we do is we spend 15 minutes a day on spelling. The first 5 minutes, we pre-test from an organized word list. The next 5 minutes, we study the words they misspelled, and only the words they misspelled. The students really love giving credit for what they already know. And then they spend the final 5 minutes doing skill building activities. And we try to make those multisensory and quick and to the point. That's one research study found that spending 3 5-minute sessions of doing it's the same every day, but the words are different and it's short and sweet. Struggling spellers really appreciate not being given 50 words because that just overwhelms them. How can I learn these? What we're looking for is 2 or 3 words that they misspell in the pre-test.
So I just appreciate everything that she says and the program that she has created. And that said, I want to say, going back to my 3rd grader and my 1st grader, I don't leave spelling out of their education completely. I am definitely more lax with their schooling. When I first started homeschooling, I started my youngest when he was 4 because I was determined. He was doing cursive. He was doing everything. And I realized now, once I'm to my 5-year-old, I just want to snuggle on the couch with him, read to him, and soak up these years. And not that I don't want to teach him and not that I don't teach him, but I do it in a different way. And one resource that I love using is the internet. And it's with moderation. Don't use it a lot with my younger children, but I do use it. And one resource that you also will find on homeschoolingfinds.com that both of my younger children have had an account with and they have loved is called Reading Kingdom. This program has interactive, fun, and educational games. My kids love that little owl. For any of those of you familiar with this program, they love seeing that little owl pop up when they do a good job. And it's easy, it's non-invasive, and it's a wonderful opportunity just to introduce them to basic spelling rules, spelling concepts, so that they can have more confidence when they get to that point where they're going to be writing it down, where they're going to need to use spelling in everyday life. So as you can see from talking just briefly about spelling with my 5 children, I adjusted spelling for each one of them to meet their needs. You don't have to do it the way you were taught. If you were taught doing the list, you don't have to do it that way. Or if you were taught in a completely different way and you want to use the lists, is an absolutely fine way to do it if that's how your child's mind works. When you use the list, usually you will say the word, have them write the words down multiple times, 3 to 5 times each, depending on your child. And maybe throughout the week, they can incorporate those words into a sentence. And I've noticed that this works best with children who enjoy writing, who enjoy a challenge. Spelling Power or other resources that I mentioned on here or that you will be able to find in the show notes might use a different approach that can work for your child. I hope that you are able to find something that works for you. I want to share with you a clip from Beverly, where she is going to talk about why she created Spelling Power. I love her reasoning because it had to do with a need. Take a listen.
I love making curriculum things, and I found out not everybody likes to do that. And so I started making things to make life easier for the homeschool moms. And it actually was a blessing to me too, because my youngest child is 17 and a half years younger than the next one up. So I started homeschooling over again with her, and she was basically an only child. And creating something for one child, and they get it, and it takes me an hour to make it, it takes them 15 minutes to get it. And gee, thanks, Mom. And then I have this thing that I created and I'm so proud of. So we made the activity tax card box available in 1994.
So home education gives you the ability to create a learning environment where your child can thrive. You can celebrate them, and they are able to be encouraged in areas where they may have been previously discouraged. If you are at a place where you're looking to secure curriculum that will work for your child, that you want to use to encourage your child, not to dictate your entire day, but just resources that you can pull in. And if you feel like you've waited to the last minute before this upcoming school year, there's still time to join schoolhouseteachers.com, where you're able to receive a tote of your choice. The tote that you pick out at checkout will also come stuffed with a collectible edition of the old Schoolhouse magazine. This will end August 31st, so make sure that you get this while supplies last. Again, this will end August 31st, 2023. And before I sign off, I want to leave you with one more clip from Beverly of Spelling Power. And this is so encouraging, and I hope you'll enjoy.
But Beverly, you homeschooled, and can you possibly share with us what you see as one of the biggest challenges in homeschooling that students face today?
Well, I think there has become so many programs that are really school at home and not home education. My concern today for kids is all this stuff that's going on in the government schools and even in private Christian schools. And as homeschoolers, we need to be looking at the methods we use. We're a family. We're not a classroom where everybody has to sit in a row and wait their turn to speak and raise their hand. They're your children. And I know for our family, we were only going to homeschool for 2 years because the local Christian school ended at 6th grade. And our entrance into the public school with our older daughter was a bit of a disaster. And we pulled her out by the middle of the 7th grade year. And our intent was only to homeschool until they were old enough to go to the Christian high school of the area that sent buses out into the suburbs where we lived, suburb of Seattle. And we loved it so much that we stayed homeschooling with older girls all the way through high school. And then we adopted our baby girl And she was homeschooled from birth and through high school. And all three girls have gone on to successful careers, and I'm very proud of them all. But the challenge is trying not to bring the public school or their approaches to teaching into your home, but to make your home a center of love and education. And I think that's what we need for our kids in this country. There's such a lack of contact with family. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges new homeschoolers face, is to getting to that point where they see, I don't have to do it like the school. I don't have to feel inadequate, because you have something way better than the schools have. You have your love for your child.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. For more on this topic, see the show notes at homeschoolshow.com for links to TOS articles, schoolhouseteachers.com resources, courses, and more. Also, stay tuned for upcoming episodes of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. Next week, you will hear about art and photography. On September 11th, the topic will be When Mamas Cry. And September 18th, the question up for discussion is, what kind of homeschooler am I? Let's end this in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for the children that you have given to us. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to homeschool. I thank you that each child is unique, and I thank you for every child and every parent represented listening in on this podcast. Lord, I pray that you would give wisdom and discernment and understanding to each parent as they learn how to teach their child how to spell. I thank you for the years of experience from those who have created resources that we can use, but I also thank you for the wisdom that you can give each parent to create, craft, and tailor a program unique for their child. I pray that each one will leave encouraged, inspired, and excited to teach their child how to spell, how to write, and how to succeed in life. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.